Vasco da Gama, the pioneer of the sea route to India. Vasco da Gama, a name synonymous with exploration and maritime prowess, stands as one of the most pivotal figures in the age of discovery. This Portuguese navigator forever altered the course of global trade and interaction by achieving the monumental feat of establishing a direct sea route from Europe to India, circumnavigating the formidable African continent. Early life and origins. Born in Sines, Portugal, around 1460 or 1469, Vasco da Gama hailed from a noble family with a history of military service. While details of his early life are somewhat sparse, it is known that he was well educated, proficient in navigation, and had prior experience commanding ships along the Portuguese coast. The spirit of exploration was deeply embedded in Portuguese culture at the time, driven by Prince Henry the Navigator's earlier efforts to map the African coastline and find a route to the rich markets of the East. The historic voyage, opening the spice route. By the late 15th century, European demand for Asian spices, silks, and other goods was insatiable. However, traditional overland trade routes were lengthy, dangerous, and controlled by various intermediaries, leading to exorbitant prices. Portugal, under King Manuel I, was determined to find a direct maritime link. Following Bartholomew Diaz's discovery of the Cape of Good Hope in 1488, the stage was set for the next great leap. Vasco da Gama was chosen to lead this audacious expedition. On July 8, 1497, he set sail from Lisbon with a fleet of 4 ships, the São Gabriel, his flagship, the São Rafael, the Berrio, and a supply ship. His journey was fraught with challenges, including treacherous storms, scurvy among his crew, and hostile encounters with local populations along the African coast. After rounding the Cape of Good Hope, da Gama navigated the unknown waters of the East African coast, making stops in present-day Mozambique and Kenya, where he engaged in trade and sought local pilots. With the assistance of an Arab navigator, he set a course across the Indian Ocean, a monumental undertaking in itself. Finally, on May 20, 1498, after an epic voyage of over 10 months, Vasco da Gama's fleet dropped anchor in the bustling port of Calicut, modern-day Kozhikode, on the southwest coast of India. This moment was revolutionary. It bypassed the long-established land routes and the Venice Arab spice monopoly, directly connecting Europe to the lucrative markets of the East. While his initial attempts at trade in Calicut were challenging due to cultural misunderstandings and the quality of Portuguese goods, da Gama managed to secure a cargo of spices and other valuable items. He returned to Lisbon in September 1499, a national hero, having lost 2 of his ships and over half of his crew, but bringing back immense wealth and invaluable geographical knowledge. Later voyages and legacy. Da Gama's first voyage was not his last. He led another, larger fleet to India in 1502, aiming to further solidify Portuguese dominance and establish trading posts. This voyage was marked by more aggressive tactics, demonstrating Portugal's determination to control the spice trade, sometimes through force. In recognition of his unparalleled contributions, Vasco da Gama was elevated to the Portuguese nobility, receiving the title of Dom and extensive land grants. More than 2 decades later, in 1524, he was appointed Viceroy of India by King John III, an indication of his enduring importance and the trust placed in his leadership. He embarked on his third and final journey to India to address growing corruption among Portuguese officials. Death. Tragically, shortly after arriving in India for his third mission, Vasco da Gama fell ill, likely contracting malaria. He died in Cochin, India, on December 24, 1524. His body was initially buried in India, but was later repatriated to Portugal in 1539, where it now rests in the Jerónimos Monastery in Lisbon, a magnificent edifice built with the wealth generated by the very trade routes he pioneered. Vasco da Gama's legacy is complex. While celebrated in Portugal as a national hero who ushered in an era of prosperity and global influence, his expeditions also marked the beginning of European colonialism in Asia, with its often violent and disruptive consequences.